Hey there, my name is Anthony Romano, and in this video I'm going to tell you how to get ripped the easy way. Now, there is going to be some precise details you're going to want to stay tuned on this video for, but essentially this is going to be my personal routine of mixing, eating as much carb as I want, eating ketogenic with that, so no carbs sometimes, and also playing this in well in a lifestyle where you do some intermittent fasting, where you mix in essentially all these other common fitness fads, which realistically our body jives very well with. Our body is meant to do a lot of these different techniques, and it allows you to eat basically anything you want as long as you have a couple of these, startup efforts in place. So stay tuned. So for starters, I just got back from the gym and I got this cool free shirt, Christmassy, right? So that was pretty cool. Take one more good look at it there, So I was pretty happy about that. But I'm going to tell you how to get ripped the easy way. And when you do get ripped the easy way, people will give you free shirts. That's kind of actually how I got the shirt, but I'll explain another time, maybe. Essentially, getting ripped the easy way. Okay, so the easy way, what comes to your mind? Eating foods that you enjoy the most, right? A lot of times people think the least restrictive, right? And I've put out other videos on keto, right? And how I feel that keto is the easiest way to get ripped. But I know that's not going to jive well with a lot of people watching this video for the first time who don't know my videos, right? Because they don't know that I've been doing keto for a long time and fasting, prolonged fasting, intermittent fasting, all those types of techniques for a long time as well, like 8 years basically. So the combination of tools that you're going to use before I explain them all are ketogenic dieting as your baseline. Now, this seems like, this guy's going to bring me into his trying to just recruit people for his keto cult. But that's not the point of this video. The point is, all you got to do is do it for at least a month as a baseline. And eventually, I plan on integrating this into the ultimate effortless fat loss plan down the line for people who don't want to do keto all the time. So I'm simply throwing keto out at you as a way to regulate your body's natural hunger systems, okay? So before I explain how keto does that, I'm going to tell you what the whole plan looks like, because the whole plan looks like, keto is your baseline, and from there, carb frequency can be consumed almost as much as you want, right? But the more intense workouts you have, you can up that frequency. So if you've seen my video on carb backloading, it's one of the most important videos on my page, and I say that in the first 10 seconds of that video, because down the line, it allows any plan to be so much more versatile. And essentially, carb backloading allows you to eat high amounts of the quote-unquote junk food carbs, where you eat them strategically after a high-intensity workout, as long as you handled the beginning part of the day in a low-insulin manner. So what is a low-insulin manner? You either fast, or you eat only protein and fat. Not that hard, right? Even if you think of it on the surface, hey, you could eat keto for half the day and then eat some carbs. That's one way to do it, right? You're still able to eat food, and then from there you could have your carbs after workout, right? You will, however, get way more benefit out of, actually getting adapted to ketosis and not just simply eating that way in the mornings, okay? The whole point of the mechanisms of ketosis is that it gets your body in a heightened fat burning state. Your body literally burns double the amount of fat when you're on a keto metabolism compared to a carb metabolism. Now, some of that fat's being supplied from your food, but your body is churning through double the amount per day. So it's more primed to burn fat when you're in a, caloric deficit, a state of demand, heightened demand for fuel to be burned. So, that's some more basic premises here. But essentially, we have keto as the baseline, carb backloading whenever there is a day that you want it. So if you want to slam a workout 4 times a week and you want to have, all the dessert foods you want in the evening, right? As long as it's not to the point of you're consuming foods with MSG and glyphosate and all these other terrible things and processed ingredients thrown on in there, that's essentially what you want to avoid. But you can still have instead of having a highly processed, chocolate bar, have a real Belgian high quality chocolate bar, like that type of thing, or some of the other tips you'll get in the carb backloading video. But Keto, then carb backloading, a mix of fasting on any day that it's appropriate. Because if you think about it, anybody who already does intermittent fasting, you're already primed to do carb backloading because you're in a low insulin state in the morning until you train. And anytime you're not eating carbs, you're getting to a ketogenic state. Doesn't matter if you're eating nothing at all or if you're simply just eating protein and fat and no carbs, you will be in a ketogenic state given enough time. So keto's the baseline. And then if you're somebody who's very, trying to bulk in a very lean manner and you want to put on large amounts of size at the same time and perhaps even burn fat at the same time, you have to understand that low insulin levels will maximize and throw you into the deep end of the fat burning pool. What this essentially means is that your body, when you have low insulin levels, that is needed in order for you to burn fat at a higher rate. And that is what the ketogenic diet achieves. So keto takes 3 days for your body to get used to. All you have to do to get this easy mode of fat burning is simply do keto for 3 days. And then, from there it's easy. You do it for a month till you get adapted, right? You don't have to do 3 hard days. From there, the rest of keto is easy. And after that month of you getting adapted, what happens is at that point, you could start to reintegrate carbs. The reason you don't want to do this earlier is because your body has to get adapted and you don't want to send it mixed messages. In fact, most people have a bad experience with keto if they jump in and around the keto gray zone. So basically low carb, but not quite keto, because it tells the body, okay, we're clearly still running on carbs here, but we just have a very small amount of them, which is why I always tell people either diet with carbs or diet without them. Don't go in between. You'll feel horrible in between. Either pick carbs or pick keto. And if you're like most people coming to my page and stumbling upon my page, you've probably done plenty of carb diets and you're like, I'm still hungry every day. I'm still going to sleep gnawing at my, arm because I'm hungry. Or it just simply doesn't feel like everything's falling into place for you. This is where people often turn to keto, and that's how I turned to keto like 8 years ago. So, and I've helped plenty of people before that time. All of them, 100% of them have said, I don't think I could do keto. Trust me, you can. It's literally a biological mechanism that is in every single human. Physiologically, we're all capable of doing it, but we feel like we can't before you've started doing it because your body wants to keep this luxury energy source of carbs in place. So, carb backloading, right? So how does this play into, rapid continual fat loss? Essentially, once you've maximized the hormonal side of fat loss, right? I talk about this oftentimes on my page. There's a quantitative side to fat loss, so calories, and there's a qualitative side, there's hormones. So everybody looks at fat loss like it's the quantitative side. And you might have heard me talk about this over and over again on my videos, but quantitative side and qualitative side. Hormones and what's actually causing fat to be used as fuel is the qualitative side. Eating certain foods that promote a certain hormonal profile, right? Example, less carbohydrate to the point of keto zone is going to lower your insulin, which is the primary key you need to fall into place in order to burn heightened amount of fat. Essentially, anytime you have an insulin spike, your body is shutting off fat burning, okay? And regardless of calorie intake, you'll still lose fat if you have, 1,000 calorie deficit and you're eating only Snickers bars. But the thing is, you're going to get a blood sugar spike with every Snickers bar you eat. But it's simply that on a grand scale, your total amount of calorie intake is lowered by 1,000 calories. So your total daily insulin is still lower than if you ate 3,000 calories of, not Snickers bars, of oatmeal, okay? Your total insulin is still lower because you're 2,000 calories lower than what you were, but you're simply eating food that spikes your insulin more on a meal by meal basis, right? On a moment to moment basis, you're experiencing higher insulin. And if you had just ate foods that weren't Snickers bars for the entire 2,000 calories that you're eating, you would experience even more fat loss. And, plot twist, spoiler alert, you will feel like shit if you eat 2,000 calories worth of Snickers bars because that volatile blood sugar spike is going to be making you go crazy because your appetite is directly correlated with your blood sugar and blood insulin. When it's up, you'll feel good, and when it's down, you crash, and that's when you get hangry. That's when, we've all had that before, that's when you also get lethargic and fatigued because your blood sugar and blood insulin has crashed in a very volatile and dramatic manner. So this is why you need keto to be the baseline. And from there, once you've gotten back to your body's default metabolism, that's actually, ironically, when you're most able to start having all the Snickers bars you want. Now I'm exaggerating, but the point still stands. You can have plenty of high glycemic sugar after you've been in this keto state. And if you have it after a workout, it's actually going to maximize how much of your muscle tissue actually soaks up that insulin. So this is why it's such a key tool in, burning fat, but also being able to eat whatever you want, because now all of the junk that you're eating is actually going to a, productive purpose. It's going to rebuilding muscle. So keto and carb backloading with intermittent fasting in between. Now, you might be saying, why don't I just go right into this without, the keto stuff? And that's doable, but you're not going to experience the metabolic benefits of the keto metabolism, which essentially helps you quit sugar, because you need to quit sugar before you do any of this. The whole point of making this the easy way is you do any diet you want, optimally, a carb backloading focused diet, where you eat most of your carbs after a workout. Well, all of them after a workout, but essentially, you have to quit sugar first. That is the most important thing for making any diet easy. And realistically, if you wanted to do, keto for a month and then go into a if it fits your macros diet, you totally could. And that would be the shortcut to getting to the point of this video, right? Do keto for a month, then do if it fits your macros and count your calories. But here's the thing. I personally think if it fits your macros and counting your calories is harder because it's more effort. But at the same time, you're not getting rid of that sugar dependence. If you do it after a keto diet where you've gotten rid of that sugar dependence, ironically, you're not going to even want to stray from keto. You simply have to do it long enough to the point where you find that your appetite is so much more regulated and you're not addicted to food anymore. That is what a ketogenic diet for a month will do for you. So the short answer to this video is do keto for a month and then do whatever diet you want. But ironically, you doing keto for a month is going to make you not want to do any other diet. But what you can do, and what most people do for, lifestyle balance, and people who are social and want to go out and, go to a restaurant every week, right? You could literally have a carb backloading plan in place with ketogenic diet as the primary foundation. This is the way to do fat loss the easy way. And realistically, some of those days, even if you don't work out, the one method that will still give you ridiculous fat loss is longer fasting, right? Longer intermittent fasting. So this is the third and final part of this video, which is longer intermittent fasting is another tool that you will optimally use on a very easy fat loss, because on an easy fat loss diet, because essentially, although I've explained that first mechanism, right? Keto and carb backloading, the combination. The third tool, this video is about giving you tools in your arsenal to make a very easy fat burning plan. Unless, of course, you wanted to, stay tuned for my future programs dropping and also hit me up for coaching, which I do. But I'm talking about giving you tools here as a free video. And another tool here is prolonged fasting / intermittent fasting, or the little space between the two. Prolonged fasting means anything longer than 24 hours. Intermittent fasting means anything less than 24 hours. Well, you can still do other multi-day variants of intermittent fasting, but under 24 hours is intermittent fasting. And if you do, a 1 meal a day type plan, where you're basically eating only for less than a couple hours per day, if you throw that in to the mix of keto and carb backloading, you're going to stay lean and ripped year round, no doubt. And that's actually what I do. Some days, like example today, haven't ate a single thing. It's like 10 p.m. And yesterday, I had also done one meal. I worked 2 jobs, and then I went to a bar with some friends, had a Philly cheesesteak, as I might have mentioned. And at that point, I went home and had maybe a little bit more of some eggs. But my whole meal, I had a large amount of carbs. I also had sweet potato fries with it. And there's other ways to pick your carbs sources in a more precise way and cleaner way, which are topics for other videos. But I had 1 meal a day with a large amount of carbohydrates, and then today with no carbohydrates, but I could if I want to. And essentially, from that point on, if you just have keto as your baseline, you are afforded these options. Nobody is able to do 1 meal a day and eat all the food they want and maintain that, because they have to quit sugar addiction first. And this is why it's so key. So the timeline is keto diet for at least a month, right? That does take some work, but nothing good in life comes free. unless you find it as a video on my page. So you have to do a little bit of startup cost, and you have to invest a little bit in the beginning for things to pay off. And that is the only catch to this, right? Try these things out, and then from there, even if you want, the alternate route is you could do prolonged fasting for multiple days to get into a deep state of ketosis, but not everybody wants to do that. So essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to do keto for a month, and then from there, even though you should probably continue doing it for a little bit while longer until you get to a point where you want to have some carbs, you eat keto, and then from there, you start doing a regular carb backloading plan where you eat keto or nothing in the morning, and then midday or whatever time you work out, that's when you can slam the carbs afterwards, and they can be of any type of carb you want, and all the science is explained in my carb backloading video. And then from there, any day, even if you're not doing a training day, right, and making it a carb backload, if you simply extend the amount of time that you fasted, now you can slam all the food you want, and you're living a lifestyle that is enjoyable. And you're still seeing ridiculous fat burn because of the way you're manipulating the qualitative side. You're manipulating the hormones that are involved for fat burning, the primary one being insulin, okay? So hopefully this gave you a good idea of a strategy for you. And even though you might think, okay, I'm trying to do the whole bodybuilder thing, bulk cut, keep this as a baseline strategy for you, because for a lot of people, myself included, I stay ripped all year round, like it's Christmas, right? And like I'm still, shredded, as you see on my thumbnails, still low body fat, still, 6 foot, big enough. I'm not like, I'm just like, really a whiz at Photoshop, which, I mean, my thumbnails are pretty cool, but it's not like I'm somebody else's body on the thumbnail. And the thing is, I'm still able to make progressive gains while staying in this lean body fat because of these tools, which are the foundation of what my year looks like year round. It's simply that, yeah, keto is what I eat 90% of the time, but even on days where I'm eating other types of foods, there's fasting involved because keto makes this intuitive for you. If you think about it, if there was still an addiction to sugar in place, honestly, this would look like an eating disorder of some sort. And that's not to be, an asshole to people with those types of issues, because they're serious. But the point is, literally, this allows you to eat in a way that would seem problematic, but it's not, because you aren't craving the food. It's not like you're, craving this and denying it. In fact, that seems to be more the case for if it's your macros dieting, where you're going to bed and you're sitting there, you've already looked at your MyFitnessPal for the day, and you're like, shit, like I'm already 100 calories over, right? You're still, you know what I mean? And then it's like, at that point still, you have to go to bed hungry, and you're still like, you're 100 calories over, and you're feeling that, like, you're still low calories, but you could have done better, and you're still hungry, and you're still, it's like, yeah, you're still going to lose weight, but how much trade-off of how shitty you feel in the moment are you willing to pay? And the point is, if you just pay for 3 days of being moderately hungry, but eating keto and simply eating as much as you like for those 3 days, right, to get into ketosis, from there you will find it triggers all the homeostatic mechanisms of your body's hunger, because it triggers the hormonal side. If you think about this, right, because I have other videos explaining this, but if you think about what the keto state is, it is the state where our bodies would be when no carbohydrates grow. It is the winter time, right? No fruits grow, no grains grow. If you lived in Hawaii, then yeah, you had a little bit of access to those things, right? Your ancestors did. But for the most part, you weren't gorging on carbs like you could have been in the summer, right? On an evolutionary perspective. So realistically, it's supposed to be the state of the year where our body triggers this switch metabolically, because everything is seasonal, right? Winter, summer, right? Night, day. Carb fuel, fat fuel, right? Our body and our metabolism is seasonal, just like everything else in the world. And the point is, remember this and twist it to how it fits your lifestyle. You don't have to jump into one thing. You don't have to, start going nuts on keto all the time, but you should try it out. And the funny thing is, most of the people who do try it out end up going nuts on it because they enjoy it and they enjoy the way they feel with it, and then they start filming 20-minute long videos about it. So thank you for watching this video. Apply this to your lifestyle, and if it's interesting to you, the last thing I was going to wrap up there was simply, this is a state that's totally fine for your body to be in, and it's something that is meant to trigger the satiety feelings, because in a state where you're not eating a lot of this luxury fuel source, your body would need to be in not only an energy abundance, but a state where it's not craving instant gratification, instant fuel gratification, because that's essentially what carbohydrates are. Not to demonize them, but they're simply a high speed fuel, which is a luxury in nature. So, thank you for watching. Like the video right now. If you've watched to this point, like, you have to hit subscribe. Like, subscribe right now if you didn't. Thank you again for watching. Leave me some comments, I will answer you. And go through the rest of my Keto Diet Essentials playlist and watch those videos. That will teach you everything you need to know about keto. Watch my carb backloading video if you haven't already. And after that carb backloading video, go watch my New Age Fitness Principles playlist, because that is the playlist that will teach you everything about, applying the qualitative side of things, the qualitative sides of fat loss, the qualitative sides of muscle building, doing them at the same time, right? That's what it will teach you. And nobody else is really talking about these things on YouTube. If they are, they're talking about maybe one or two pieces of the puzzle. I'm trying to apply the qualitative side to all different aspects of fitness and bodybuilding. And this is where you have to stay if you've liked this video. So thank you. Anthony Romano. Peace.